Hello guys, Josh MC2000 here, and today we are going to be doing another comic book Carnage episode, and today we're going to be talking about some things I want to see in the Injustice comics, the Injustice 2 comics to be precise, because the Injustice 1 comics finished ages ago. But the Injustice 2 comics, okay, let's start off with the first thing I want to see. I want to see John Constantine back, but I haven't read all of the Injustice 1 comics, so I'm not entirely sure if he's dead. I hope he isn't, because John's one of my favourite DC characters, so I'd love to see him come back in the comics. Another thing I want to see, I don't want to see Red Hood be this freaking Batman. You know, this new Batman they brought in with the red eyes, the guns, you know, fits the profile of another comic from 352, doesn't it? Yeah, well, I don't want them to go down that route, and if they do, just have it so he's working undercover. Like, you know, have this scene where, like, because they're doing this arc at the moment where it's penetrated, where they're getting into the League of Assassins hideout to rescue these kids, and Harley and Alfred as well. Because Alfred's been resurrected now via Lazarus Pit, which is peculiar, because I thought resurrecting people from the dead in the Lazarus Pit was bad, because I mean, all three examples we've had of that, they've all ended up being utter psychos. One of which being a badass vigilante psycho, but you know, still a psycho. So are we gonna get a really weird version of Alfred from now on in the Injustice universe? Hell, I'd dig Alfred as DLC. Bashing a guy over the head with a silver tray. I'd do that. I would so dig that, just as a joke character. But whatever. I'm getting off topic here, but I don't want Red Hood to be the like this current Batman. And if he is, just have it where Batman radios him and he's like, okay, bug out, no need for your undercover work. And he just takes off his cowl and is like, thank God, I've been dying to get rid of this stupid thing. Chucks a bomb in his cowl, chucks it in, say, I don't know, like Boomerang's hand. And Boomerang's just like, what? Wait, you're the second Robin? What? The dead Robin? And then Jason's just like, yeah, but not as dead as you. Hits the button, blows up the cowl and the bomb, and Boomerang just goes everywhere in bits. Okay, they wouldn't make it as graphic as that, but you know, just imply that Jason's just blown one of the members of the Suicide Squad to smithereens. The reason why I said Boomerang is because Boomerang isn't in the game, and no, but I don't think anybody really references Boomerang. So I think they could totally get away with killing off Boomerang, like that. But anyway, I don't want Red Hood to be, I don't want Red Hood to be a member like that Batman. But it's probably gonna be, because just the way he's behaving, the way he knows how Batman works, it's gotta be. Like, either that or it's Heretic. That's who I'd want it to be, ideally. I'd want the new Batman to be Heretic, which is an older clone of Damian, kind of thing. If you've read any of the New 52, you know who Heretic is, or if you watch Batman Bad Blood, you'll know who Heretic is. I want that version of Batman to be Heretic, and I actually want him and Jason to fight, and I want Jason to wipe him out, because I think that would actually be a really big surprise ending, because everybody at the moment seems to think Jason is this new Batman. So just have this moment where, like, in the next issue, they get caught by Raish, and Heretic's about to, I don't know, maybe he's about to shoot Batgirl or one of them, and then Jason just jumps out from the shadows and is like, I don't think so, bang, shoots the gun out of his hand, and they start fighting. Anyway, so I basically shown my detest for the idea of Jason being the new, that Batman, because I'm sorry, it was done in Battle of the Cowl, and I honestly don't think Jason would ever take up the identity of Batman. I don't like that, because what Batman stands for is the complete opposite of what Jason believes in, so it wouldn't, I don't think he'd ever put, realistically, in my opinion, I don't think he'd ever want to put on a cowl. Hence why I said, like, it's like, oh, I've been dying to get this thing off, like, before he chucks it to Boomerang, in my version. Also, another thing I want them to do is, I want them to actually, yeah, I want them to have Corey and Tim Drake out the Shadow Zone. Maybe Wonder Girl as well. I think Wonder Girl was also in the Shadow Zone with them. Don't think they'll be able to get Superboy out, which is a bit of a shame. But Superboy is a pretty decent character, but he's gonna have to stay in there unless they've got medical equipment. And this is how I really want to have Red Hood introduced. Just have this bit where they're discussing who should go into the Shadow Zone after them, and they're just like, Barbara's like, no, it's a suicide mission, I'm not letting you go in, Bruce. And then Jason, like, you see a guy in a leather jacket walk in, and then Jason just shoves past him and says, I'm going in, 2 of my best friends are in there, you're not talking me out of this. And then he just walks through into a Shadow Zone without like mentioning it to any of them. In this, the panels are subtly done, so we don't actually see the helmet or anything distinctive. It just basically, you think it's Red Hood, but you don't actually see it until like there's this bit where he's going through the Shadow Zone and like he's making his way through, but you just see him like walking. You just see a shot of his boots or a shot of his holsters or like slowly putting together the picture that slowly putting together this jigsaw of who the character is, and then don't have it revealed it's him until he finds either Tim Drake or Starfire, and they lunge at him and they pin him against the wall of the Shadow Zone or something in the Shadow Zone, and they at first they're really aggressive, and Jason's just like, relax, I'm here to get you out, I'm not here to hurt you. And then they scream in his face like, raging dog, like, and then because I think this ties you're thinking, but wait a minute, Red Hood's on neither side in the Injustice games, but here's the thing, he's not anymore, but he used to be on the regime. This is what I think would be really good. Have it so like kind of like at first he joins the regime and he buys into like the whole protecting people thing, but then after Superman starts being more forceful, he sees through it and is just like, I'm out, I'm done, turns on them. Because I mean, Cyborg even says in the game, well, you turned on us fast enough, which kind of implies to me that he disregarded the regime, he left the regime, he walked away. And Batman isn't entirely trusting of him either, and a lot of the Batman characters aren't, which tends to imply to me he's kind of like, that would, for me, if I was Batman in the Injustice scenario and Red Hood came to me one day, maybe at Alfred's funeral, and says like, I'm here, I'm not here to fight, I'm not here to pick problems, but after this, I've walked away from the regime and I want to help you. I'd just laugh in his face and say, why should I trust you or Damien? Like, you have stabbed me in the back, you've stabbed my family in the back. What would you have me believe? Show me that I can trust you. And then, like, maybe as he's walking, maybe as he's, like, fighting against Tim and stuff, he's trying to explain, and he's got these thought bubbles basically running through everything that's happened to him ever since Joker died. And, like, he could even say something like, we all know how this story started, it starts and ends with the Joker. Like, and it, like, we could have him kind of inner monologuing, which is kind of like Red Hood's normal style of going over things. He inner monologues talking about, like, how he's got to where he is, and then he, like, talks them down and he helps Starfire, Tim Drake, and the other member of the Titans out. And, and then he's just like, he turns around and he says, but look, I've worked hard to make Bruce trust me. I'm going to work hard to make you two trust me again. And and then he, then Corey just looks at him and says, you know what you have to do to get my trust, and walks off. And, Tim could just say something like, want to get pizza, or something like, because Tim and Jason, ever since New 52, have been fairly decent friends. So I actually think it would just be cool if he's just like, okay, I trust you, want to go get pizza? If he just like straight up pulls a 180. Like is a bit like, okay, Jason didn't shoot me when I pinned my bow staff against his throat, so I'm kind of taking that as he's on my side. Like, you know, because you could kind of even have this joke later where Corey and Tim are talking to each other, and she's a bit like, how have you come to trust him so easy again? And he turns around and he says, I know how to speak the language. Or something like that, just basically imply that he has his own, speaks his own language, and he's like got his own way of saying things. Kind of in a way Wintergreen said to Rose in the Deathstroke Rebirth comics, like, you know, when he says this, he really means this, when he says this, he really means this. Which, you know, in a way, I think also suits Red Hood. Because he'll say stuff to you, but he means something else, because, like, for example, his interactions with Dick Grayson and Richard are normally that kind of thing. Like, he'll say something, but you know deep down he doesn't mean it, or he means something else by it. Like, you know, anyway, so what we've got so far, we've got Constantine coming back, we've got, Jason, like, you know, not being the Bat and going into Shadow Zone after the Titans. Because I actually think that would be a really cool way to, kind of build up, reaffirm the friendship between... because in the game, there's no real hint at Outlaws other than Jason saying Outlaws can be heroes too, as he shoots the ground. Like, that's the only hint at the Outlaws. So I'd kind of say, if Corey hasn't been a member of the Outlaws yet, maybe have her start working with him, and maybe Rose Wilson? I'm not sure if Rose is dead yet. Is Rose dead in the Injustice universe? I'll have to check that. But I'll say Rose for now, or maybe Roy Harper, I'm not sure. Like, yeah, and have them working with Red Hood, and like kind of have it so she still doesn't trust him, and they're a bit wary of him, and it's just, you know, just have like that, and like, honestly, I think the Red Hood intro dialogue with Starfire could have been done so much better, and I'm actually going to do a video in the future, which is me doing what I believe to be better versions, in air quotations, of the intro dialogues. You might think they're trash, you might think they're good when I do it, but I will do the video eventually. And I'm sorry it's been so while since I've done a comic book Carnage, but anyway, moving away from Red Hood now, let's talk about some other stuff. I want to see them, because at the start they kind of had Batman meeting with some of the world leaders, and I kind of want them to flesh that out more, kind of flesh how he's building society back up more. And I mean, like, that storyline's kind of been interrupted because of the whole business with Raish and stuff. And another thing, I want to see the death of Talia al Ghul. Because it's hinted at in the game that Talia's dead. So I want to see the death of Talia al Ghul, because we actually see Talia alive and well in the Injustice 2 comics. She helps break Damian out of prison. So I actually would like to see the death of Talia al Ghul, because I actually think that would be really fitting. Because Scarecrow says to him, "Couldn't save your mother, could you, Damian?" And like, he's very nasty about it. So there's that. Also, I'm sorry, I'm going back to Red Hood here again. I didn't mean to do that, I'm sorry. But there was something I left out. But him dying, one, I want him to kill Talia, because I think that fight would be awesome. And also, it would be fueling the fire for a rivalry that I'd want to see later on, because Jason has motivation to kill Damian. Let's get that out of the way. Jason Todd has perfect motivation in the Injustice universe for killing Damian. Because as I said, if he gets Starfire at the Phantom Zone and Starfire gives him this ultimatum, you know what you have to do to get my trust back. Which is her implying, kill Damian Wayne for me, and I will trust you as a friend. Like, which, you know, and have it so Barbara kind of silently implies it and kind of silently wants it, but she doesn't express her views, because she is supposed to be the one saying to him, look, don't kill, you shouldn't be doing this. you know, but have it in the back of her mind that, you know, so you could do that. And there are other ways you could do it as well, like, because I actually think a fight between Damien and Red Hood would be really good, and it would also explain why Jason's kind of chill with him in the game, because if he beats him in, like, you know, maybe like a Duel of Honor or something, if he beats him in a Duel of Honor and then just, says to him, look kid, I beat you, as far as I'm concerned, that's debt unpaid, that's, you know, you've paid for what you've done for Richard in my eyes. If others don't see you have, you know, you're bleeding pretty badly here. If I walk away now, you're probably going to bleed to death anyway, so it's not a problem. You know, and kind of do that thing where it's like he doesn't kill him directly, but he leaves him for dead. And then you could bring in Nightwing as Deadman again. Yeah, that's another thing I want back. Nightwing as Deadman. You could have Nightwing as Deadman come back, and maybe he patches his wounds up and like gets him somewhere safe. And that's why he's in the Injustice games. And what you could do from there. Also, while I'm on the subject of Dick Grayson as Deadman, I want to see him interact with both Jason, Corey, and Barbara, because those are the three people who were closest to him. Oh yeah, and Tim Drake as well. I want to see him interact with those, and maybe Bruce as well. I'm not sure if he's interacted with Bruce yet. I think he might have done. But I'd want to see him interact with those characters. Hell, maybe that might be why John comes into it, because John's a bit like, yeah, I'm looking for a member to rebuild Justice League Dark. Are you up for it, Richard? Like, you know, I honestly think, you know, because you've got all these heroes trying to rebuild everything, trying to get back to the way they are. I mean, in Injustice 2, Batman's rebuilding the Justice League, so I think it would make sense for John to be looking to rebuilding the Justice League Dark to sort out magical threats, because the Justice League was never really kitted out for that, and it was always more Constantine and Justice League Dark and Zatanna that dealt with the magical side of things. And maybe he could ask Fate as well, but Fate would decline, obviously, because he's a puppet of the Lord of Orders, basically. You know, so I think they could... And that would also set up how Fate knows him for the ending of the tower, for Fate's tower. And also it would kind of... It could serve as a jump platform for them to try Constantine into the game if they do, which, fingers crossed, I hope they do, because John's one of my favourite characters. Also, they could do... Alfred's pretty mute at the moment. Alfred isn't talking or anything, so maybe John could sort that. Maybe we could get Alfred back the way he was, because John does some hocus pocus and gets him back. You know, I think that there's one golden rule, one unspoken rule. You cannot kill off Alfred Pennyworth. Even, like, I still don't forgive Dark Knight Returns for killing off Alfred. I still don't forgive that book for that, and Dark Knight Returns is one of the best Batman books, and I still don't forgive it for killing off Alfred. Because, like, for me, that's just an unspoken rule. You can't kill Alfred. You can just about get away with killing Jim Gordon, but in my eyes, you cannot get away with killing Alfred. Because Alfred is an integral part of Batman. He's what keeps Batman propped up. He's what keeps Batman sane. So you lose Alfred, we get a lot of problems. And also, Alfred wouldn't patch himself up if it wasn't for Bruce. Bruce would just be walking around bleeding everywhere. You know, so we kind of need Alfred back. So I can see why they've done that. The next thing I want to go on to is a little bit... I'm not entirely sure what people would think about me saying this, but I kind of want to see Karanda's sister and what kind of role she played. Did she play any role? Did she have everything hands off, or was she involved in the regime somehow? I'd want to see what her part is, and also I want to see Tamaran as well. I think we barely ever see Tamaran in the comics, and I want to see Tamaran, and like, I kind of want it to be like this thing where it's like this this beautiful futuristic city, kind of like Blade Runner, Coruscant-esque type thing, but then around the edge of it, it's just wasteland. Like, you know, Also have it so it's really cold, because, you know, Tamaran, by nature, have the heat of a nuclear reactor in their biology. So it would make sense for their planet to be freezing, because otherwise, why the hell would they evolve to be like that? I mean, like, you know, and it might also explain why Corey walks around flipping half naked on Earth, because compared to her home planet, Earth is a really hot climate. So, like, you know, you've got flipping Tamaran, which, think of it as being kind of like where Saturn is in our solar system. I always believe that's kind of where Tamaran would be. Either that or the star for Tamaran is a black dwarf. The star around. Actually, that would be really cool at night. Like it's a dark sky always in Tamaran, and it's like a black dwarf in the sky. If the art's on point for that, that could look beautiful if done right. So, and also we've seen Krypton in the Injustice universe, but we haven't really seen any of the other planets for. I mean, that's one of my criticisms for DC. We never really see any alien planets and stuff. It's all very Earth-centered. But I think that might be something they could fix. I mean, you see bits of Tamaran in Red Hood and Outlaws New 52, but, you know, that's... Yeah, there's just so many problems with that book. Oh my god. It makes my head hurt past Volume 3. Hell, parts of it in Volume 2... Hell, parts of it in Volume 3 made my head hurt. So, you know, let's move on, shall we? Yeah, I want to see Tamaran. I think Tamaran could be an interesting place to show, especially if they take a unique approach with it, like I just said. I think Tamaran could be a really cool place if they do that right. Also, it would kind of explain a few things about why Corey's dressed the way she is. Because, you know, think about it. You're used to a really ice-cold climate, and then you walk in your normal clothes into a really boiling hot climate. You were going to want to take off a few layers, aren't you? You know, I think that explains a few things. And also it would stop people saying, oh, well, you know, it would give reasoning, because there's so many complaining on YouTube comments about the way Coranda's dressed, and, like, you know, just get over it, okay? It's a thing with comics. You think that's bad? Read manga. Manga is worse. Okay? You know? And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I just accept it's a thing with the industry, because the main market is teenage boys. So I just accept it's a thing, even though I don't always agree with it. And I must admit, her outfit in Injustice is quite tame compared to some of the things she's worn in previous comics. So, yeah. Not naming any names. Totally not naming names. Anyway, another thing I'd want to see is a flashback to Alfred's funeral. I'm not entirely sure if we got it in Injustice, but I'd actually want to see, like, especially if we're introducing Red Hood, I'd want to see Jason stood far enough away so that nobody sees him, but see him, like, watching on at Alfred's funeral or something. Like, just to show that, like, you know, kind of show his motivations, flesh his motivations out. And another character I want to see is Rose Wilson, because Rose Wilson and Deathstroke, bring her father in as well. I want to see both of them back in the comics, because we never really saw much of her old man in the original Injustice and the story of Injustice as a whole. Hell, he's been completely absent from Injustice 2, so bring him and Rose in, because I think, you know, without unless of course she's dead. Correct me if she's dead in the comics, I'm not entirely sure, because I haven't had the chance to read all of them, because they're incredibly expensive. You know, I have financial limitations, people. I mean, I've literally only just been able to replace my old knackered headset, so please bear that in mind. Anyway, if you want to hear more thoughts about what I want in Injustice 2 comics, let me know. If you want DLC prediction videos, let me know. I'm going to do a review as well on the future of Injustice 2, the Injustice 2 DLC Fighter Pack 1. But first, I'm going to play around with Starfire a little bit more, because she came out 2 days ago. So I'm not, yesterday actually, she came out yesterday. I'm not completely tuned in with her. I'm not too brilliant with her, so I'm gonna like give her a bit more of a time, and then I'll do my review on all 3 characters. And also those better intro dialogues will be coming soon. And also if there's any other characters you want me to do those better intro dialogues for, I will do them. And also I could do potential intro dialogues for other characters and stuff. But with some of them, it depends if I can get somebody to voice the other person. Shouldn't be too hard. I can just ask some friends to do it, like with Audacity or something. It shouldn't be too hard. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little comic book Carnage video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.